Well, hello there viewers, and welcome to Get Well, Stay Well on Revelation TV. We're here every week discussing a different health topic, trying to give you some advice. So as always, I'm delighted to be joined by Felicity. How are you?
Hi there, so I'm fine. I've just been tending my garden up on my terrace up there in the hills, and it's really interesting how you can grow so much in containers and have lovely fresh vegetables of your own, which are not sprayed with any chemicals or pesticides. So that's obviously the way to go forward.
And that's a nice introduction into our program today. What is the subject?
Well, we're going to be talking about growing our own vegetables hydroponically and aeroponically. How about that?
Now, what is that, hydroponically and aeroponically?
Well, it's just a new way that they're growing vegetables now without soil. So it's a wonderful thing for people who live in flats or live in a house where they haven't got a garden, and you can actually grow your own vegetables. You can grow wonderful tomatoes and cucumbers and lettuce, and so you've really got your own food supply, and you know it's really clean and organic. You grow it from your own seeds.
Now, before we go into what is the tower garden that we're going to be featuring on today's program, just explain to our viewers why it's important for them to be eating the right foods.
Absolutely. To get well and stay well, we have to come back to God's diet, the Genesis 1:29 and 30 diet, which is the fruit, the vegetables, the seeds, the nuts and the green plant, and especially the green plant, because the green plant has the chlorophyll in it, the lovely green color, which is so good. And you know, the plants have the chlorophyll, and we have hemoglobin, and similarly, very similar indeed, so that our actual bloodstream is really fed by the chlorophyll of the plants, much more than the meat and dairy diet that we talk about, the MAD diet that we've all been told was the healthy diet. When we get onto the phytonutrient, onto the plant diet, you know, people are so much healthier, and most disease just melts away. So it's amazing what you can do.
And we try and encourage our viewers to eat the green leafy vegetables as well, don't we? Now, some of our new viewers out there might be thinking green leafy vegetables doesn't sound too appetizing, but eating healthy can be tasty, can't it?
Oh, absolutely. You know, the lettuce and the spirulina and the radishes, all the lovely fruits and vegetables that we can put into the salad. You don't have to just have a lettucey salad. You know, you can have Swiss chard, and you can have kale, and really anything that's green, and add that into the salad. And of course, also add it into the juicer and juice it and drink your salads. It's a lovely way of getting the real good nutrition into our bodies.
And what's more fun than growing our own fruits and vegetables as well?
Well, it's great fun to do that, and all the family can join in with that. And you know, the children love growing things from seeds. We're going to be showing some clips of the little seedlings growing, and you see the difference between all the different plants, and then see them grow. It's really a lovely thing for children to do.
Okay, well, we are going to be showing you how to grow your own fruits and vegetables. So let's start with our first clip today. This is talking about the tower garden. Let's take a look.
Whether you've already bought a tower garden or just want to learn more about it, we're going to show you why this is one of the smartest purchases you'll ever make.
Tower Garden is a patented, state-of-the-art vertical gardening system that makes it easy for anyone to grow fresh fruits and vegetables right at home.
And you don't have to be a gardener to enjoy Tower Garden. In fact, people who've never grown anything in their lives tell us it's not only a fun way to grow your own fresh produce, but it's also a great way to help you and your family eat healthier by adding more fruits and vegetables to your diet.
So what exactly is Tower Garden, and why is it such a smart purchase? Well, as a gardener myself, if I had to describe it in one word, that word would be easier. Easier to start than a traditional garden, and a whole lot easier to maintain, with a compact, state-of-the-art vertical design that fits easily on a deck, patio, or balcony.
Easier for us non-gardeners too. Though the word I'd use would be convenient. Think about it. You want a salad? Just open the back door, take a couple steps over to your tower garden, and there it is. Fresh, healthy, tasty produce. It's like having a farmer's market on your back porch.
And while most gardeners enjoy getting out the shovel, putting on the gloves, and digging around in the backyard, more and more are also enjoying a new way of gardening, the Tower Garden way. Everything you need to start growing is right in the box, with none of the weeding, tilling, and ground pests you get with a regular garden. And to top it off, there's an online resource center to help you every step of the way.
You even get to be a part of a growing community of health-minded, environmentally conscious Tower Garden owners who share growing tips and learn from each other on the Tower Talk online forum.
As soon as you start putting your tower garden together, you begin to understand the amazing science behind it. It grows plants using something called aeroponics. Aeroponics is the process of growing plants in an air or mist environment without the use of soil. Tower Garden has a 20-gallon reservoir tank at its base. Here, a pump pushes a nutrient solution up the central column to the top of the tower. On its journey down the tower, the plant roots are showered with the nutrient solution. And this process is continually repeated, providing fresh oxygen, water, and nutrients to the roots of the plants. Because of this aeroponic system, Tower Garden uses as little as 10% of the water usually needed for regular gardening. And since it's vertical, it uses less than 10% of the land as well.
What's even more amazing is the variety of produce you can grow. Each Tower Garden grows 20 plants, and you can choose from a wide variety of fruits and vegetables and herbs, including lettuce, tomatoes, basil, strawberries, even melons. By giving you the power to grow your own fresh fruits and vegetables at home, Tower Garden helps you grow a healthier family, too.
You'll quickly discover that Tower Garden fruits and vegetables are better looking and better tasting than supermarket produce that's been shipped hundreds or even thousands of miles.
And if your kids are picky eaters, research shows that children who help grow their own fresh fruits and vegetables are much more likely to eat them. Not to mention the fact that assembling, growing, and harvesting your Tower Garden is a fun activity for the whole family.
Tower Garden contributes to a healthier environment too. Not only does it use less land and water, but Tower Garden also reduces the need for pesticides, insecticides, and herbicides. The all-natural earth minerals in the Tower Tonic nutrient solution help produce strong, healthy plants that are more resistant to pests and disease.
And thanks to Tower Garden's patented technology, those plants grow much faster than they would in soil. You can harvest gourmet lettuce and other leafy greens in about 3 weeks and keep harvesting and reharvesting for months. For many of us, keeping up with a regular garden these days just isn't an option, either because we don't have the space, the time, or if you're like me, there's just too much work involved.
And because the cost of store-bought produce keeps going up and the quality keeps going down, Tower Garden can save you money.
In fact, when you consider that the USDA recommends a family of 4 spend as much as $100 a week on fruits and vegetables, it's easy to see how your Tower Garden can quickly pay for itself. It's certainly a lot less than investing in a garage full of the tools and other stuff you need for regular gardening.
And because it's made from durable, food-grade plastic, it will keep paying those dividends for years.
So experience a garden that's healthier for you, your family, and the environment.
Experience the freshness and great taste of eating about as local as you can possibly get, from tower to table.
Experience Tower Garden by Juice Plus. It's one of the smartest purchases you'll ever make.
Hi there, welcome back. What a very healthy way of growing your own fruits and vegetables if you're in control. I mean, it's free food in a way, isn't it?
It's fun, isn't it? And right outside the door, you know, you can have it on the little balcony by the kitchen. How convenient is that? You don't even have to go down to the market to get your food. So get your salad. I think it's really lovely for salads, and it's good for beets and for beans, cabbages, cucumbers, cauliflower. You can grow all these wonderful things. Eggplant and melons, peppers, tomatoes, of course, are wonderful.
Wow.
So it's a lovely, lovely thing. And I looked to see today if we could get something similar on Amazon, because of course it's American.
Yes.
And I'm hoping they're going to import them into England. They've got something similar, but not quite the same
So
on Amazon.
At the moment, you need to bring them over from America. Is that right?
At the
Order
moment,
from America.
Yes. And Chris Walker's doing it. You know, Chris.
Yes.
From Chris Beat Cancer.
Yes.
So we're going to be talking about him. And I just think it's nice to back his ministry, because he's got a great website.
But it's fantastic. Yeah. Growing your own fruits and vegetables, it's something that you're in control. There's no question marks of it, whether there are any pesticides or any other sprays that have been put onto the fruits and vegetables. And it's also fun as well. It's fun for the children. Can you imagine the children there just putting the seeds in and then waiting after a few weeks and seeing it all grown?
It's great. And I've just been talking to Helen and Angus, who live in France, and they tell me that everyone in France is growing their own. The allotments are beautifully kept, and people are really keen on growing their own produce and have been for years. And it's rather the same in Jersey. We do that as well. So I think this is something to come for the future, that it's you know, possible, even with a window box or just a little tiny terrace, that we can actually grow our own. And it's a lovely thing to do, great fun.
And it seems that you don't need to be a gardener as well. I mean, some people, they might have back problems of bending down and digging into the earth and things like that, but it's something that also doesn't take too much space up, and it just kind of takes care of itself.
Well, it takes 1/10 of the area, apparently, and 1/10 of the water, so it's a really very clever technology. I was really excited when I discovered that.
Excellent. We've got a clip coming up now with Chris, and he's got a very famous website called Chris Beat Cancer.
Yeah, I know.
Who is Chris? And just give us a little background into his story.
Well, I met Chris when I was in San Diego, and he's a delightful young man who was diagnosed with colon cancer at 26. And of course, he just wanted to live. He got a wife and young family. So he went in for the natural way of beating cancer, which he did. And so he's now got a website which is encouraging literally millions of Americans. And he's very dynamic, great fun. And he explains how he started a tower garden as well. So it's an interesting clip. And his friend produced the tower gardens. So they're working together.
Okay, well, fantastic. Let's take a look at Chris and his version of his tower garden. Let's take a look.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris from chrisbeatcancer.com, and today I've got a video all about the tower garden. Now, I bought a tower garden last year from my buddy Jerry Finney. And Jerry and I have a lot in common. We're both in the real estate business. We're both cancer survivors.
Yep.
We both have a tower garden.
Yep.
We're both into nutrition.
Yeah.
I'm leaving something out. There's something else.
I'm sure there's something else.
Anyway, oh, we're both musicians.
Musicians, yeah.
So yeah, anyway, Jerry and I have known each other a long time, probably 8 or 10 years.
Yep.
And I found out about the tower garden, and I called him up, and he gave me the whole spiel, and I was like, I want one. So here's what it is. This is basically a drip irrigation growing garden, right? It's a vertical garden. And what I've got 5 different leafy greens on it. Now you can grow all kinds of stuff. Last year I grew cucumber and tomato and all kinds of stuff. This year I decided to do just leafy greens, but I've got green kale at the top. I've got Russian red kale. I've got Toscano kale here, arugula, Swiss chard, and Cherokee red lettuce at the bottom. And I'm gonna zoom in so you can see a little better. But this stuff is grown. I mean, it is just crazy huge. I mean, look. We're gonna eat some of this for dinner tonight. Look at this kale. it's freaking crazy.
Look at this piece right here.
Yes. I mean, look, this is Russian red. We'll pop this one off.
Yep.
I mean, look at this giant kale, all right?
So here's another piece here.
Yeah. So it's growing like a champ. I mean, it's really pretty
Show
amazing.
some lettuce, just real
So
quick.
yeah, so
Big piece of lettuce.
let's see, we get a big piece of Russian red lettuce. This isn't that big of a piece, but it's, you know, pretty good sized piece of lettuce.
Arugula. This is just like you're gonna see in the store.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's nothing better than just picking it fresh, throwing it in a blender, throwing it on a salad, and eating it. So, but I asked Jerry to come because he knows a lot more about this than I do. I've had the experience. I've definitely used it for 2 seasons now. The reason you didn't hear about it last year is because I wanted to make sure it really worked and I had good success with it. And so this year, now that I've gone through 2 growing seasons, and by the way, this only took 2 months to turn into this massive thing you see here. And I took a picture every single day for 2 months, almost every day. I missed a couple to show the progression, and I'm gonna post that also. So, okay, how did this happen? Like, where was this developed? Like, kind of tell the backstory.
Yeah, basically it's from Epcot Center. A guy named Tim Blank is the head horticulturist there. He worked with NASA and Disney. And he developed, through many years of research, he developed the tower garden. And basically, if you go to there's actually an exhibit there called Land of the Living. and you go out by boat. And a lot of people watching that have been to Epcot Center have seen this. And so what happened was, a couple of years ago, my company, which is located here in
Memphis company,
I'm a franchisee for Juice Plus.
Yep.
We bought the exclusive rights to market and distribute the Tower Garden for home use, just like this. So when you go to Epcot Center, you'll see these towers, and they go up like 20 feet or whatever, watermelons and eggplant this big, you know, growing. But basically, he mass-produced it and took it to market. We own the rights to sell it. There's a lot of really cool stuff. You know, I first showed you that first video of the guy in New York City. He has 40 of them on his building, and he provides all the fresh produce daily from his tower gardens.
Yeah, for his restaurant, right?
For his restaurant, fresh.
Yeah.
And they did a news story on it. But anyway, that's where it comes from. And basically, I could kind of give it to him in a nutshell what it is.
Yeah, so you could probably explain it better than me.
Absolutely. You know, so basically the Tower Garden, down here is a reservoir. This is 20 gallons of water. What you've got
here, I'm gonna tilt the camera. Watch.
Sure.
So
the portholes
the
here.
bottom, can we see that? Yeah. The bottom of it.
Right there. That's where the water and the liquid nutrients go. And basically the pH balance that you would normally get in the soil, we can achieve in the Tower Garden, and we can always have the perfect balance, which is the challenge that you can't get from soil.
Yeah.
Hi there, welcome back. Just talk to me about the watering process. Like we saw previously, they mentioned it's 10% less water being used compared to a garden.
Yeah, well, you put 20 gallons in, and then it automatically waters the thing all the time with the drip effect. And you can then control the nutrients that are put in. So instead of being dependent on the soil where you live, as most people are, you can actually control the environment completely. And so you can grow the ultimately good fruits and vegetables right there. I think it's a wonderful idea. And also it's so much easier for older people like me.
Yeah.
Don't want to bend down, you don't want to get right into the earth, and ruins your nails, girls, isn't it? So it's such a good idea to have this, and it's all clean, and you just buy the seeds, you grow them into the little seedlings, and then you plant them in the pods, and away you go and watch these things grow.
And the watering process, how does it water? It waters itself?
It automatically does it for you. So even if you're away for a few days, your plants will not die, which is absolutely wonderful. And of course, it's so much cheaper. It's really great because, as we know, organic food can be quite expensive if we go to buy it from the organic shop. But if you're growing your own, then really your outlay is the seeds and your little bit of work. But this minimizes the work, so I like this really. I think it's great.
And I believe there's quite an online community out there of people that are on the websites, and there's discussion forums, and they're talking about and exchanging recipes, shall we say. I mean, it's a fantastic way also of bringing people together.
Oh, I think it's great. It makes a really healthy community. And so you get to know all the other like-minded people and get their tips as well, because, you know, we all have tips as to what kind of seed is best to use. And it's a really good idea to be able to share the information like that. So and I think it looks really pretty as well. You know, they're quite tall. They're really nice to have. And so economical and really easy. So everyone, really a child could do it.
It's that easy.
Once you put it together, the thing's working, and you just have to fill it up with the water. And he says he only fills it up with new water about every month, and so you can keep the same lot for three months, which is amazing.
Is it only leafy fruits and vegetables that you can grow on there?
Well, obviously he's doing a lot of the leafy greens there, because the leafy greens have the most chlorophyll in. So because he's had cancer, he's very keen to have lots of the leafy greens. But you can also do the beans and the peas and the peppers and the tomatoes, anything really that you can grow from seed like that. You can do potatoes and onions as well.
So judging from that video, he's obviously very much into growing his own fruits and vegetables. Let's say, what do you think the ideal diet would be? Would you just say to eat the green leafy vegetables through the day into the night, or?
Absolutely. I mean, the ideal thing is to stick with God's diet. And the people who go to the expensive clinics, you know, in the like Hippocrates Health Institute and the Optimum Health one that we saw in San Diego. So people really live on this wonderful green food and the salads, the phytonutrients, which have got the living enzymes in. They've got the electricity, the oxygen, the water. And people heal from whatever their ailments are. And it's really great to just get back to your own food that you are controlling. So yeah, it's a wonderful idea to be able to have something like this. I think it's a new innovation, obviously. It's new technology.
I just don't think people are maybe educated enough and understand how 90% of diseases can be preventable, and that's caused by the dangers of eating the wrong foods that we all see as normal.
That's right. Well, a study was done called the China study by Dr. Colin Campbell some years ago, where he really proved as a scientist that we needed to actually live on the phytonutrients, the living foods, rather than the meat and dairy, which we've all been marketed for years. You know, we've been told that this was the right stuff to eat. So it comes as a bit of a shock. And of course, to begin with, I was amazed because, you know, I'd been brought up on meat and dairy and the odd vegetables every now and again, but basically meat and dairy. And so I brought my children up the same way. And then, of course, we had a whole lot of health problems. And we have this huge epidemic now of heart disease and cancer and diabetes and arthritis and digestive problems. But when people come back onto the living foods that God actually tells us in the first chapter, the first book of the Bible, we should be living on, when people come back to that, they revert to the Genesis diet. In fact, they get well. So it's a great way to prevent sickness as well in the first place.
And what is your favorite raw recipe?
Well, I love the guacamole. I love avocado and tomato and blending these things up. And of course, chickpeas as well. You can do the chickpeas with the hummus. You know, we have such a enormous variety of beautiful fruits and vegetables. I love the kiwi fruit as well. But yeah, an avocado a day, like David Avocado Wolf.
Yeah.
And it keeps you really fit. It gives you the right essential fatty acids as well. So it's lovely because an avocado is so easy to, you know, just open up, cut it and open it up. And it makes a lovely dressing as well for your salad. If you mash up the flesh of the avocado with, say, lemon juice and just put it in a blender, and it makes a wonderful avocado dressing, completely natural.
Now, we do talk about juicing and we talk about blending on our program. Just confirm to our viewers, what is the difference?
Well, the difference is with the juice, you're actually extracting the pulp, and so you have a machine that produces the two different streams, one of the pulp and one with the pure juice. And the pure juice has the essence of the living enzymes. So when people have been very ill, as I was, then you heal with the pure juices. If people just want to blend something, they can have a little NutriBullet or an ordinary centrifugal blender, and you can have a wonderful meal with the blending things as well. It's just if you want to get the right nutrients easily into the bloodstream, someone who's very ill, then you do it with the juicing. Also with the young child, of course, the juicing is more easily assimilated in the body. But both are fine, you know, there's a place for both.
And now it's the summertime and it's hot out there, and you want your children to be eating healthy. What about making fruit ice creams, for example?
You can do that with the banana. You know, the banana is a wonderful fruit, which you just peel the skin off and then you freeze it overnight, and then you just put the bananas through, and so that makes a delicious banana ice cream with no dairy, no sugar. And then if you want to, you can make a fruit one. So I've just made pineapple this morning for people. So we have a pineapple ice cream. Again, you prepare the pineapple and freeze it. And then
do you need to blend it, or do you chop it into pieces?
No, you just juice it. You put it through the juicer, but this time you have a blank screen instead of the juicing screen that has the little tiny holes in. The food is actually pushed through the blending side, which pushes it out. And so you get a lovely creamy ice cream coming out, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And
sounds delicious, Felicity. You need to bring it onto one of our shows.
I will do.
Okay, well, let's take a look at our next clip. This is Chris continuing to talk about the tower garden, and this is talking about the growing process. Let's take a look.
Soil alkalinity or acidity is a problem, anybody that's grown a garden. And I've got another garden, I don't know if it's in the shot or not. Yeah, see, I have a raised bed garden right here too, and it did pretty well last year, but we had some challenges, and the tower garden actually did better.
So a couple things to note about the tower garden. Again, this is about as much water as you would take this morning in a shower.
Yeah.
So you can get a harvest from 20 gallons of water that's reusable.
It's pretty amazing.
And so it's really unique. What happens is, like Chris said earlier, it is drip irrigation. It's on a timer that goes off 2 to 3 times an hour, about every 15 minutes, depending on
that's
how
how
we
mine's
set it.
set. Yeah. Every 15 minutes.
Every 15 minutes, yeah. It's analog. The water travels from down here. There's a little pump that the timer communicates with, sends the water up to the top of the tower, and then the water and the nutrient-dense water actually drips down on the roots of the produce. Now, if you can, obviously the sound's pretty good. You just heard it go off. And so what allows it to grow about 30% faster than a traditional garden like you've got over there is it's aeroponic. So in a traditional soil medium, the roots stay in the soil. In a traditional, let's say a hydroponic situation, the roots stay in the water all the time. So you've got the same elements of sunlight and nutrients, but the actual roots get water and oxygen. And so that's what allows the plants to actually grow and look vibrant like yours does.
Yeah, and it's pretty, right now, I mean, based on what I'm seeing in the the monitor, it just looks like a giant bush. But when you see the end of this video and you see the progression, you'll actually see what the tower garden looks like when you first start planting. And it's just a cylinder. It's made of food grade, what is it? Food grade plastic or whatever. The roots aren't even really, they're not sucking nutrients from the plastic.
Absolutely.
So it's not something you need to worry about. It's not made of PVC,
it's not a petroleum
which
based.
is a really bad thing, especially if you do hydroponic. But anyway, so this is aeroponic, and it's super easy. I mean, this is all you do, literally. You order seedlings, you put them in the little stations, and it holds what, 40? Is that right?
Well, the basic tower holds 20, and then you got the expansion module, so there's actually 28.
28. So see, I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So it holds 28.
Looks like 40.
Yeah, it holds 28, and I'm like a brown thumb. Seriously, I can't grow anything. But you put the seedlings in, you fill it with water, you put minerals in the water, and then it the pump circulates the water every 15 minutes, and once a day I would just come out and check on it and check on the water level. And periodically you need to refill the water, you'll add more minerals, and then you add either acid or alkaline solution to get a neutral, it's slightly acidic pH between 5.5 and 6.5.
Yeah.
So I mean, too much alkaline, they'll start looking really wilty and sick.
Yep.
Too much acid, same thing.
Right.
So, and that's all you do. Literally, you just make sure the water level, it has water, which it doesn't go, the water recirculates. So I've only had to refill it a few times in 2 months, like maybe 3 times.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 or 4 times in 2 months. So it's not like you have to fill it every day. I went out of town for a week and came back, and it was fine. So it was time to refill it, but it certainly wasn't empty. And that's it. Literally, I mean, it's so easy.
The cool thing is too, and Chris explained it better than I could, but what he's got here are a bunch of greens, and so we kind of took through a chart top to bottom of what you've got on here. But the cool thing about a tower garden is you can grow anything on a vine.
Yeah.
With the exception of, obviously, grapes. That's more of a different bushy vine. But anything on a vine, so I've got tomatoes, you can grow squash, green beans.
Cucumber.
Any cucumber, any kind of pepper.
Yep.
Of course, all kinds of herbs. Any kind of herb
we had a bunch
of
herbs last year. Yep. You can do strawberries.
Strawberries. Anything on, red cabbage.
You can't really grow any root vegetables like carrots or beets or
anything roots. You
parsnips.
That's true.
Yeah. So
blueberry, you won't have anything on a bush. Blueberries or raspberries won't happen.
Yeah. I just decided to do all the leafy greens, and because they're easy. When I did cucumber, see, this is a tomato cage. This is extra, and you really, depending on what you grow, you may not even need it.
Right.
Because I didn't grow tomatoes, but I just left the tomato cage.
Hi there, and welcome back. Now, as we can see, the growing process, it uses very little amount of water to grow those leaves. If you put it out in your balcony, you put it out in your garden, if there is a lot of rain, shall we say, would that be ruined, or is that still okay?
No, it's going to be absolutely fine, because the thing is above the ground, it's not going to get flooded. So there's a couple of really good books out by Will Cook on indoor gardening, and Lita Anderson. So people can buy a book on growing hydroponically. It's different, obviously, and much, much easier than having to dig out there with the soil and get really dirty and exhausted and break the back, you know, with the old spade and the fork. My father loved to grow vegetables, and when he was retired, you know, he had this great big garden, and I used to have to work out there for hours, rather unwillingly, I must say. So the thought of the tower garden really appeals to me, much easier. Yeah. And of course you don't have so many of the, you know, we used to have rabbits come and eat our lettuce. I remember my father chasing rabbits, like Mr. McGregor, you know, in the Beatrix Potter book, chasing the rabbits around. So this is much easier because you can control the environment.
Now, it was mentioned in the clip there that they had to add the pH. For the correct pH, you need to add acid and alkaline. Why is that? Well,
as you know, our body is supposed to be about 7.365 pH. We're meant to be in a good balance. As you know, when our temperature goes up too high or too low, we can die quite quickly. And it's the same with our pH, but people haven't really learned as much about the pH. But scientists like Gary Tunsky, Dr. Gary Tunsky's done wonderful work on this and introduced me to it in America years ago. So we have to try and control the pH. You know, our meat and dairy diet makes us very acid, and stress makes us acid. Electromagnetic radiation makes us acid. So we're living in a pretty acidic environment. And so really the one thing we can control is what we eat and drink. And when we come back to these lovely alkaline, chlorophyll-rich plants, we actually restore the balance of the pH in our body. And you can test that with pH strips. So you can test urine and saliva and see exactly where you are on that pH balance. So it works really well, and we need to alkalize the body back to the right pH scale.
Now, you mentioned how stress can affect us. Stress is something that we all deal with, or we all go through on a day-to-day basis. Doesn't matter what we're doing in our life, whether it's work, family, or anything like that. I think the most important is how we deal with that at the time. I guess I used to, like everyone else, used to get very stressed out about things, as normal, as we all do. But I've learned that you're not going to improve or gain anything by becoming stressed. So it's about how you deal with it, and it's about just staying cool in a certain circumstance, situation, and that makes you that really helps with your health as well, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. You want to do the mental detox and the spiritual detox just as well as the physical detox. That's what I try to do on my courses, you know, to try.
How do we do that? How do we do the mental detox?
Well, we have to think about the big picture. We have to think about the picture as God sees things, and not get too involved with our, you know, introverted lifestyle and too worried. You know, Jesus says, don't worry about things. We have to trust in God, let go and let God. And very often, you know, we pray about things and we fret and worry. And when we let go and let God, we find He has a much better plan than we could ever have thought up. So I've done a little meditation called The Blessing, which is a biblical meditation, because Jesus says we should pray, we should meditate, meditate on the Word of God. And it's lovely. We have the fruits of the Holy Spirit that I introduce. Some people who come on the courses are not Christians at all, and so they just want to improve their health. So then they learn about the mental detox and the spiritual detox. And, you know, they're really very interested. Because I think everyone's searching, Cyrus, you know.
I think so. And I think even though once you've found God, I think some people might find the way that they just drift away a little bit from God as well, and they just need to be reeled back in. And I suppose the best way of doing it is things like listening to worship music as well, isn't it?
That's very good. God has a very good way of reeling you back in, you know, like fishing. He just reels you back in every now and again, and you come back to what really matters in life, and lots of prayer, and church without walls, of course. That's the greatest thing, and it's a real lifeline. You know, when I talk to people on the donations night and talk to people on the phones, they say, you know, how important Revelation TV is. Really, it's the lifeline. It's there. It's always on in the house, and it just keeps you balanced. It's great. So stress doesn't have to be too bad.
Okay, well, let's go to our next clip. Our next clip is showing the time period that it takes to grow the tower garden. Let's take a look. Hi there and welcome back. We've just seen that the eight-week period, how long it took to grow that. It's just incredible. Now let me ask you, is this a new system that's been recently introduced?
Well, years ago in Jersey they started growing tomatoes hydroponically, and I was really interested. I went and spoke with the farmer and had a look around. It's really interesting, so much better, and so they can control the environment much more. And but the aeroponic thing is new. I think this is new from America, and it's a great idea because they can really ensure that everything that goes into the plant is going to be really healthy. So if you're growing in the country, obviously the air will be much clearer, and but the great thing is that people are going to have really fresh green phytonutrients right on their doorstep, and not even have to go out to the market to get them.
I mean, we're talking about the cost. The cost is obviously very cheap to do so. Now, what about the nations like in Africa and or in Asia where they're suffering because they just don't have enough food to obviously live on? I mean, what about something like this? It's so cost effective.
Well, I think it would be wonderful, and I've got a girlfriend who's out in Lesotho, and she's got a home for children who have AIDS, who are just really abandoned and left. They have no parents left, no grandparents left. Everyone's died of AIDS, and these poor children have got AIDS as well. So I'm getting her to start growing wheatgrass. You know, if people would understand that this is the diet that God wanted us to have. And the wheatgrass, which you can grow so easily, is it has all the nutrients in, it has all the vitamins, all the minerals, and it really does transform the health. It purifies the liver, regulates the blood pressure back to normal if it's too high or too low. Once you get on the wheatgrass, which you can grow like this, you can also grow it in the Fresh Life sprouter, which we're going to be talking about. So really, you know, we can grow so much of the wheatgrass. In France, of course, you see the rolling plains of Spain as well. It's really possible to grow grass virtually anywhere apart from the tundra and the Arctic. But apart from that, we can grow grass.
What is it about wheatgrass that has such great nutrients in comparison with the other green leafy fruits and vegetables? Well,
they all have nutrients in them, but the wheatgrass has found to be the best scientifically. And a lady called Anne Wigmore, Dr. Anne Wigmore, some years ago, she started the Hippocrates Health Institute, and she got herself well with wheatgrass. Interestingly, she came from Lithuania originally, and her grandmother had been the sort of nurse in the local area, and they'd had wars. There were soldiers who'd had legs and arms amputated, and this nurse used to pack them with wheatgrass so that they they didn't get gangrene, basically. And Anne remembered that, and when she came to America, she was involved in a traffic accident, nearly lost both her legs. And again, she remembered what Granny had taught her. She packed the wounds with the wheatgrass, and 3 weeks later, both her ankles were completely healed. Mm-hmm. She then healed herself from cancer, and this was really the start of the Hippocrates Health Institute.
Wow.
Really interesting. So I went and trained in America on the wheatgrass. Hallelujah Acres uses barley grass, which is quite similar, but I find it easier to grow the wheatgrass, actually.
And where can we obtain wheatgrass?
Well, if you can't grow it, people can have it in the powdered form. You know, you go to a health food shop and buy organic wheatgrass in powder form. Enterprising people are also making it in a frozen form. So you get little ice cubes, which are sent in an ice pack to you, and immediately you put them in the freezer, and then you just dissolve those, put them in with, say, the green juices. So this morning I did that with my class, and it's a wonderful way of strengthening, getting the wheatgrass right into your juices if you can't grow it yourself.
Now, you do the Get Well, Stay Well courses, don't you? I mean, what is the reaction of people when they come on your course? You obviously, because we had the privilege, you invited Revelation TV to your course, and you showed us exactly what you do. And what do you find is the reaction of the people after all these years of eating the wrong foods when you show them this is what you should be eating?
Well, actually, when I make the green juice for them, they say, wow, that tastes so good, and it tastes so much better than we thought it was going to. So I put a little bit of lemon and a little bit of ginger in with the green vegetables, and it really does taste lovely. It's based on cucumber, because the cucumber is a very juicy fruit, and so we start with that and some celery, some apple. I always put 1 apple in, and the lemon. You can put the whole lemon down the juicer, you know, the skin as well. You wash off the lemons are now waxed with a wax. So you have to scrape that off. But when that's been cleaned off, you can actually put the whole thing down and put a little bit of ginger, because some people like ginger.
Now, it's like we all kind of get excited about something new, and we think we all want to change our lifestyle, and we all go maybe a little bit radical. From your experience, when the people have attended your course and they go back into their everyday life, is it easy to keep up?
Yeah, absolutely. Because the thing is, after a week, they begin to feel so much better. So they really don't want to go back to the old ways, you know. When you detox, you don't want to retox. That's the thing. So when you've got rid of the coffee and you've got rid of the meat, and I know people who've just cleared out their kitchens completely. They've thrown away all the old stuff that was, you know, making them so ill before. And so my fridge is just literally fruits, vegetables, and everything fresh. Looks good.
Well, let's take a look at our next clip. This is talking about the guide to seeding the tower garden. Let's take a look.
Congratulations on assembling and filling your new tower garden. Now you're ready to grow. So let me show you the most successful way to prepare and plant seedlings in your tower garden. First, take the seed starter tray provided with your tower garden growing system and thoroughly wet the rock wool starter cubes. If possible, use filtered water or bottled drinking water without chlorine. Let them soak for 30 minutes. Next, you're ready to add your seeds into the seed holes in the rock wool starter cubes, per instructions on your seed packet. After you've added your seeds, lightly fill each seed hole with the vermiculite included in your tower garden growing system. For smaller seeds, like lettuce, only fill the hole half full with vermiculite. This will keep just enough moisture around the seed for good germination. It may be helpful to label the rock wool so you know where each seedling is growing. Now, gently sprinkle a little water over each hole to wet the vermiculite. When you've finished, add a little water in the bottom of the container for extra humidity. Do not close the lid. If it's a warmer time of year, place your seeding tray outside in a semi-shaded area. If it's a colder time of year, place your seeding tray inside by a sunny window. Each morning, be sure there is about 1/4 inch of fresh water in the bottom of the tray. After your seeds have sprouted through the vermiculite, Immediately move them to a full sun area outside once all danger of frost has passed. You can add the diluted Tower Tonic solution from your nutrient reservoir every other morning to the seed tray in place of fresh water. Once your seedlings are approximately 3 inches tall, they should be healthy seedlings with a good root system growing from your rock wool cubes.
Hi there viewers and welcome back. I mean, that's just an idea, just an example of how to grow the garden tower.
Yes, in a variety of all these little seedlings as well. And the children love to watch the little seedlings grow. You know, it's really exciting, and seeing what does best. So, yeah, it's ideal.
What better way? Because that's all we want to do with our children is educate as well. And if they're being educated and they're having fun at the same time, fantastic.
It also makes them self-reliant, which is really important. And then they can go back and educate the other children in their class.
That's it, there you go.
Yeah.
Now, what would be the approximate cost of one of these?
The Fresh Life Sprouter is £129, and people can get that from Holistic Research. You mean in England, here in England?
Yes.
Yeah, you can get it in England. The Tower Garden, I think one's going to have to bring in from America, because I went on Amazon this morning and looked. They've got slightly similar things, but nothing quite as good as this. So I'm personally going to order mine from Chris Walk, I think, because he does a great job and is educating so many people. Yeah.
Now, we talked about the Fresh Life Sprouter. Just explain what exactly is a Fresh Life Sprouter?
Well, the Fresh Life Sprouter is really the easy way to grow all this stuff. So you have, this sits on the countertop in the kitchen. You have a barrel of the water, you have a barrel above, and you can start growing, and it's all automatically watered for you.
Excellent. Well, let's take a look. This is the Fresh Life Sprouter.
Growing nutritious and delicious sprouts is very, very easy, and it can be done right in your home year-round. Now, at Territorial Seed Company, we have a great selection of different sprouting seed varieties to choose from based on your preference, and we also have some great tools to help you be successful. Now, today I want to talk about one of my favorite tools, and that's the Fresh Life Automatic Sprouter. And the reason that I like it so much is because of how easy it is to use, and I'm going to show you just how to today. So the first thing that you are going to want to do is to rinse your seeds under hot water. And today I've chosen radish seed and mung seed that I'm going to be sprouting. And this is also a good time to tell you that when you're choosing seed to sprout, you want to make sure that that seed is suitable for sprouting, or it's supposed to be, because those are cleaned and maintained and processed in a manner that makes it suitable for human consumption. So I got my seeds already rinsed under hot water, and then the next thing that I'm going to do is put them onto the tray. So I want to come over to my sprouting barrel, and the unit comes with 2 of these trays. And there's a smooth side and more of a rough side, and you want to make sure that the smooth side is facing upwards when you put the tray into the sprouting barrel. Now, if you also notice that there's 4 different quadrants in here, that means that you could sprout 4 different types of seeds if you wanted to. Today, I'm just going to do the radish and the mung. So the next thing that you're going to do is spread the seeds onto the tray, and you're going to want to keep in mind that these are going to expand a lot as they get moistened, and so you don't want to oversaturate the tray with seeds. In the instruction manual, it tells you how much seeds you should do per tray. In the case of a smaller seed like an alfalfa, it's about 5 tablespoons will fill an entire tray. Something larger like the mung beans is about 8 or 9 tablespoons per tray. So I'm just going to pour these in here. So the radishes are going to go on this half of the tray. Just spread them out a little bit here. And then I will put the mung beans on the other half. Try my best to evenly distribute them, keeping in mind that you certainly don't have to be exact in this. Okay, so now that the seeds are on there, I'm going to place the second tray on top, again with the smooth side facing upwards. Then I'm going to take the water tube, the blue water tube, and insert it into the hole here, making sure that it's in there nice and tight. Okay, so my seeds are on the tray. I put the other tray on top of it, which, by the way, that tray is going to rise as the sprouts start to develop, and you want to remove the upper tray about 2 to 3 days before your sprouting is done. In the meantime, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take the water pressure valve and put this into the water barrel. And then I'm going to fill the water barrel with water until it gets to the water level indicator line that you can see right here. You want to use water that you would drink or cook with. Regular tap water is fine, or you can use filtered water too. Okay, so I've filled my water barrel with water. Now all I'm going to do is take the sprouting barrel and put it on top so that it fits nice and snug. And then what I'm going to do is plug it in to make sure that the water is flowing. So let me do that. And you can tell it's working properly because of the spring of water that you're seeing right now. All right, at this point, all I need to do is put this sprinkler attachment onto the top of here, put the lid on. This helps control the humidity and moisture, and plug it back in. And then the Fresh Life Automatic Sprouter will do the rest of the work for me. At this point in the game, all I need to do is change the water once daily, and I'll start seeing sprouts anywhere from 6 to 8 days, depending on the variety. It's been 5 days since we started our sprouts. All I've had to do is change the water once daily. I did remove the upper tray about 2 days ago, and let's see what we got here. So I'm ecstatic to report that I've got my Fresh Life Automatic Sprouter filled with sprouts. I have my mung beans on this side. I have my radish on this side. Now all I need to do is take them out of here, put them in a plastic bag, and they're ready to go into the refrigerator.
Hi viewers, and welcome back. Just to explain to our viewers, what is the difference between the Fresh Life Sprouter and the Tower Garden?
Well, obviously the Fresh Life Sprouter is smaller, and you do it inside on the countertop. So you don't get as much produce, and it would be much better to have the Tower Garden, or have both, you know, have the little things growing inside with the Fresh Life Sprouter, and also have your beautiful Tower Garden outside the kitchen door. That would be ideal, wouldn't it? Brilliant. So, but really the Fresh Life Sprouter I've used for years, and they're so easy, you cannot go wrong with them because it automatically waters, and it's interesting how the lid goes over, and the other things that go over the plant, because the plants they would normally be in the soil, so they'd be in the dark.
That's right.
Like the baby grows in the womb as well. Isn't it interesting?
Right, yeah.
And so eventually these, you know, the little sprouts start pushing up the tops, and then it comes up to the lid, and it's absolutely foolproof, so anybody can do it. If they have brown or green fingers, they're still going to have a beautiful crop.
And the most important thing is that they're eating healthy, and they just live a healthy life, and that's exactly what we're trying to encourage our viewers to do as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, once you get onto this life, you don't want to change to the old ways of the meat and dairy diet.
I think the key point as well is when you're eating such a healthy diet, it gives you you feel different in the mind. You feel a lot more positive, more energy as well.
You have a lot more energy, and I think that's what people notice even after 1 week. They notice that their energy levels have really risen, and they're feeling light and happy as well in spirit, because the spirits rise as well as the health rises back in the body and the energy. It's terrific.
Okay, Felicity, well, sadly we have come towards the end of today's programme. As always, thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you also to our viewers. We have covered a number of clips on our programme, and we're excited to say that we have a new website on Revelation TV. Go to www.revelationtv.com, and you can click on the programme section and click on Get Well, Stay Well, and you'll see all the previous programmes of myself and Felicity. So thank you very much indeed for joining us always. Look forward to seeing you same time next week on Revelation TV. Have an amazing day, and God bless. Goodbye.